Hey everybody, I'm Michael Vivona, and today we're going to be building this bird out of cutlery. Today we'll be using the Hobart Multi-Handler 200. It is a multi-process machine. It does MIG, DC TIG, stick, flux core, spool gun, it does everything. So we're going to switch over to TIG, stick. Our MIG function, I'm currently running 035 stainless steel wire, and we're going to turn our gas on and let's get started. So I pre-selected a couple of forks and spoons and one knife that I'm going to kind of work with. So basically I have this is going to be my head, and top of my head, top of my beak. This is going to be, I've pre-bent this, so this is going to be the bottom of my beak and the top of my chest. So the top of this chest piece is going to connect to the face of this, so this is going to be the bottom of my stomach and my tail feather. Okay, so basically we're going to start by connecting our head to our chest piece. So we're going to connect our pieces like this. We connected our head and our chest piece.
Warning: read and follow all labels and the owner's manual.
Alright, now we have our head and our chest piece connected. We can move on to connecting our, I guess we can call this a stomach and tail feather. So now we have our chest piece connected to our, I guess, lower stomach and our tail piece. So we just have it clamped, so we're going to go ahead and weld it real fast. So now we have the basic outline of our body. We have the top of our head, our beak, our chest, into our, I don't know, stomach, and then into our tail feather. So now we're going to start working on the back. Okay, for our back piece, we're going to stack 3 spoons, one on top of the other, starting here, one on top, and that's going to give us our layered look and form our back. So I need to cut these 2 handles off. So just kind of clean these up. So basically, to make our back, we're gonna stack 3 of these spoons. So I've got this one and that one. So I've got all 3 spoons stacked. I'm just gonna clamp them. Okay, so here we go. We have 3 spoons stacked, which is going to be the back, and this is going to continue down with the tail feather, but not be as long. So basically we're just going to, I've cut the 2 handles off so I can weld this one to this one, this one to this one. And you gotta kind of plan these welds so they're not always visible. So I'm trying to do everything underneath, and by the time we get done, all you're gonna see is the top of this and this tail feather. So let's go ahead and weld these 3 together. Okay, so now we have our 3 spoons stacked on top of each other for our backbone. We can kind of lay it over and get an idea of how it's going to look, if we like it or not, and where we're going to bend this handle. So I can tell that I kind of like it right there, and I want to bend this handle right here. So I'm going to grab the handle Okay, so here we're really starting to take shape. We got our back in place. We have our head done. We got our beak. We have our chest, our tail feathers. Everything's starting to really come together. For this particular bird, this is going to be our show side. It's not going to be three-dimensional where you're going to be able to view it from both sides. I'm going to do an eye on this piece, so I kind of want to just keep it one-sided. This is kind of like a beginner video, so I just want to keep it one-sided for now. And so basically we're going to pay attention to this side. We're going to add a wing here, and we're going to add to the face with an eye as well. So all of our welding from now on is going to be done on the back side. So we're going to try to hide as much as we can back here. So basically I have it clamped. I just want to put 1 or 2 welds back here just to kind of hold this backbone to the rest of the body. Just want to move my clamp and get one more weld right here. Alright, now we're really starting to take shape. I do want to cut off this excess for the beak so you can really start to see it really start to come together. So here we are coming together. So we have our basic outline of our body, the basic outline of the beak. We're still going to shape it with, we're going to begin shaping the beak with 60 grit and then finish it off with 120. But I do want to do the wing first. And I want to actually add to the face. So I want to add a piece to the face and also an eyeball. So let's go ahead and do the wing first. So this is going to be part of our wing. So that, and maybe some of this. I always try to do a combination of fork and knife for the wing. I think it adds just a little detail. So something to that effect. Okay, I kind of like that. So what we're going to do is just clamp that. And underneath where these two meet, we're just going to put a weld right here to hold those two together. And then we can kind of fit it and attach it to our body. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we can kind of lay it on and see if we do like it, if we want to add anything to it. So if you look in here, you look in the body, you can kind of see these 3 welds. So you can kind of see inside the body where we did weld these all together, and I do want to kind of hide that. So let's just see if we can find something to better hide that with. Kind of want to just put it in here just to cover up my welds here. Just my weld points for this backbone here. So I kind of just want to do that. So what I will do is just take this and bend it. Now I can kind of bring this in. You can see we're really starting to just hide everything that we wanted to right there. So you can actually keep it towards kind of like the middle of the body, as long as we're covering what we want to cover, which is these joints right here. So we're just going to take this spoon and just cover them. So like you see here, I'm just going to cut this here, hold it in place, and weld it. So basically, we cut off the handle. We have a bit of a kick. So we're going to take this inside our body. It's going to cover those weld points. Okay, we were having a hard time getting this spoon into position, so what I've decided to do is actually clamp it in the vise, hold this piece with a magnet so I'm able to get a good weld on it from the back side here. So this is going to be our working side, so all our welds are going to be focused back here. Okay, So now we have our one spoon that we just put in that's covering up the welds here. We're going to overlap all of this with our wing, and then we'll start working on our face and our eye. So we prefabbed our wing, so we just gotta kind of put it around here and see where we like it. I kind of like it right there. So what I want to do is just kind of bend this. So you can bend it and then kind of just reach it in and see where it fits. So that's a pretty good look right there. I like that. So I know I want to cut it right here, and then we'll get a weld to this chest point. Alright, so here we have our basic location for the wing. I'm pretty happy with it. And if we hold it in place, turn it over, you can see now we're going to have somewhere where there's a good a weld point to the chest piece right here. Okay, so now we get a real good look at where we're at. It's really starting to come along. We have our back, our head shape, our chest, our wing, our tail feather. Everything's just really starting to come together. So now is the difficult part, is adding the eye. So if you can imagine, this is going to be here, and we're going to drill an actual eye into here. So if I go like this, I kind of like that shape. So what I want to do is I want to cut this on an angle to go along with this, I guess, this line here. So I'm just going to overlap the two the way I want it and just draw a line from one end to the other. So that's going to go there, and I'm probably going to wind up putting my eye right there. Before I cut this off and make it a little easier to work with, I'm going to actually drill this hole. We will be using a 1/4-inch ball bearing. So I actually have a 1/4-inch drill bit. So I'm gonna pre-drill it with an 1/8-inch bit, and then drill this with a 1/4-inch drill bit, mount my eye, and then make my cut. Keeping it together, it's a lot easier to drill and work with when you have something to hold. So let me get the drill. Okay, so now I have my hole drilled. I'm going to grab my 1/4-inch ball bearing. I'm going to place my piece down. This is where we're going to be cutting. That's our hole for our eye. I'm going to place my ball bearing in place. Now we have our eyeball in place. So now we're going to take our grinder and then just cut this on an angle, and we can start mounting it and shaping it to our body. Okay, so now we have the piece of our head cut out. We can kind of fit it into place and see where it fits. So now we have a nice location for it. Now comes the tricky part, is welding this in place. Okay, now we have our piece for the face with the eye, and I'm holding it with a small pair of vice grips just to kind of get a handle on it. So I'm going to position it where I want it, and I'm going to get a weld from behind. Shape, so I do need to figure out some type of foot situation. So I'm thinking something to this effect. So that, what I do want is to straighten this out. Have this run along. I do want to have that just like that. So I'm actually going to cut this right here, then get a weld from behind and actually shape my foot a little bit. So I'm actually going to just kind of pull these down. Now I've taken this, put a little bit of a hook on it, so I do want to cut it right here weld this to the back of the body, and then do some finish welding and some grinding. So now I have my foot piece cut, and I'm holding it with my vice grips. We're going to hold it in position and give it a weld. Okay, so we are getting pretty close to the finish line here. We have the entire bird pretty much built. I just need to figure out a perch and mount it to it. But before we mount to a perch, what I do want to do is go behind this face here and do some welding, and then I want to go over the beak with 60 and then 120 grit sandpaper, and then I want to go over the whole thing with a fine Dremel just to kind of clean the whole thing up, and then I'll mount it onto my perch, and then we're done. We have just a regular spoon. I kind of flattened this end out, and we're going to take this and kind of bend this over for our perch. We're just going to bend a 90-degree angle on it. Okay, so now we have our perch with our 90-degree angle, and kind of take my bird, kind of put him right on top of that. See how I like it? I do like it, kind of like that. So now I'm just going to kind of place my bird where I want it and get a weld behind the foot here. We can pretty much do whatever we want. Sometimes I will get frames from like thrift stores, so old picture frames. You could drill, you know, 2 holes in here and mount it to a frame and have it like that, or you could just drill a hole in here and mount it to a wall and pretty much, you know, do whatever you want. But this is pretty much as far as we're going to bring this piece.